If you're planning on buying any cards from TCG Player, make sure you use our affiliate link right here in the description of our video to help support the channel. It's the best way to do it and it's free. Looking for PTGO codes? Poton Store has all the latest sets and promos instantly delivered to your email. You can use Tablemon code when checking out for 5% off. Card Market is Europe's largest online marketplace for Pokemon cards. Whether you're looking for sealed product or singles, vintage or the latest sets, just follow the link in the description to find what you need. This video is sponsored by the Pokemon TCG deck building website PokemonCard.io. Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video here at Tablemon. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to be taking a look at the top decks from the PEORIA regional tournament, which happened just this weekend. If you've been following me on Twitter or Facebook, you'd know that I got top 256 with Regigigas, but I will say, however, that my good friend Ross Cawthon, playing the same list that I was playing, got top 128, and there he is. Yeah, so as you can see, Reggie's also bubbled out of top cut at 9th place and got 11th, so it was a pretty good call, but it ended up falling to itself, essentially. The consistency of Reggie's can be questionable at times. Now, Tord Reckless did manage to win the whole event by playing this very consistent Lost Zone box deck. We had already seen this deck from Japan take second place at Yokohama Champions League tournament. However, it featured things like Echoing Horn and Galarian Zigzagoon, but Tord just went full consistency mode for the regional and played 4 Fog Crystal, 4 Cross Switchers as well, no Bosses Orders, Path to the Peaks to shut down opponents' Polians and whatnot, and their own Lost Vacuum to make sure that they could get rid of anything they might have needed in terms of stadiums or tool cards, and making sure that you remove the Lost Vacuum. You remove the Path to the Peak in time for your Radiant Charizard to be able to attack in the late game and do enough damage. So really cool list, hyper consistent. I'm sure this is gonna spread like wildfire and it's gonna be very heavily played and will probably be enemy number 1 walking into Salt Lake City regionals, which happens in 2 weeks time. Now, outside of that first place toolbox deck, we did have Palkia feature quite a bit in the top cut. 3 Palkia decks, the highest placing being Calvin Connor, with a very cool singles filled deck list with Palkia. As you can see, it features one-offs of a lot of really useful cards for the deck, which obviously can hurt with the consistencies, like the opposite of what we saw with Tord Reckless deck, which had 4 of everything of the most important cards. These cards, all of them are important, but they're not always useful in every situation. So Calvin decided to go with versatility, and they played along with the 3/3 Argent Palkia form, which obviously is the main attacker, played 1 Intellion Shade Dealings, the Radiant Greninja, of course, 1 Manaphy, 1 Zigzagoon, 1 Drapion V to have a harder counter to Mew VMAXs, and then 1 Melanie, 1 Bosses Orders, 1 Roxanne, 1 Marnie, which is pretty standard, but 1 Leon as well, which I'm sure they must have used to catch a lot of people off guard, and then a split of Level Ball and Ultra Ball, a Heavy Ball, an Ordinary Rod, the Echoing Horn, which adds damage for Palkia, a Canceling Cologne, which opens up some really cool Radiant Greninja plays, and also 1 Choice Belt, 1 Training Court, and 1 Path to a Peak to combine with Roxanne late game. So we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 single cards in this list, which is really impressive, and obviously allowed him to maneuver throughout the whole tournament and adapt to a lot of different situations. Now, for 3rd and 4th place, we had very interesting looking Kyurem VMAX list. They were actually quite different. They presented significant differences between each other. Yoshi's list, I botched that horribly, I'm sorry. Tate's list featured a pretty standard 3/3 Kyurem 2/2 Palkia, but in the item and trainer department, they featured some innovations with the Cheryl, which is really nice for Kyurem after it's tanked a hit, a Roxanne for late game as well, the combination of Crobat and Luminion for late game, a single Empoleon, which probably means it's less effective overall as a way to stop Lost Box decks, but they also featured Bosses Orders and 2 Cross Switchers, which with the 4 Iridium makes a lot of sense. They also had 1 copy of Lost Cities and extra energy in 9 basic energies and 2 wash energy to help protect against Giratina V-Star's attack, and also those Sableye damage counter placements. 3 stadiums total plus the Lost Vacuum, as this deck can be pretty weak to Path to Peak. And then we had Zachary Crackler's Kyurem VMAX list, which featured a few differences in that they had 2 Empoleons this time around. They also had the Drapion to hard counter Mew VMAX, but they only featured a 1-1 Palkia V-Star, which is very interesting to me. I feel like this deck does rely quite a bit on Palkia V-Star's Star Portal ability, to where this feels very risky, but clearly it worked out very nicely for them. And then we have a lower count of energy with only 7 basic energies instead of the 9 that they that the other top 4 player played. So pretty interesting decisions. No cross switchers here, focus on boss's orders, 4 Melanie and 3 Irida instead of the other way around. So significant differences in and of itself between each list. And then 5th through 8th, we had Palkia V-Star list, very similar to Calvin's, just a little less singles and therefore options throughout the tournament. John Eng, which dominated day 1 Swiss, and then had a pretty good day 2 as well. Managed to squeak into top 8, but then fell to, I believe it was Tord. Maybe I'm getting that wrong, but yeah, Giratina V-Star, the main poster boy of the new set, ended up getting its result, but only as a 2-2 line in a sort of toolboxy deck that featured Snorlax, featured Cramorant, featured Sableye, and Drapion V as well. So not necessarily the main attraction of the deck, but certainly a good option to have in this. Outside of that, it's a pretty standard and focused Mirage Gate based Lost Box deck with a lot of options with the energies and the Radiant Greninja, along with the Snorlax for the single price Pokemon and the recovery with Ordinary Rod as well. Now, we also had a Hisuian Zoroark squeak into top 8 as well. Pretty cool to see the only 4 double turbo version of the deck with no B-Barrel either. And having played with this list a little bit today, I wasn't super into it. I feel like the lack of B-Barrel was very noticeable, and sometimes you just like draw into 2 double turbos and it can get really awkward with that. I myself prefer the water version of the deck, but obviously Osvaldo did really well and managed to get top 8 out of 1,000 players, 1,000 plus players. And then under that, we have Regis, we have more Zoroarks, we have Gudra make a decent appearance with 2 of Arceus Gudras in the top 16. We had Mew VMAX as well, placing 14th, Riley Hulbert, and then we had even more Regigigas, and then Giratina and more Lost Box, and then even more Regigigas. So pretty interesting to see that Regigigas actually had a pretty dominating showing, and a lot of them made day 2, but unfortunately none of them were able to squeak into top 8. And the standout decks, I guess, here are Duraludon, Arceus Duraludon from Eli Greenfield, and I believe there was another one up here. Perhaps I'm getting this wrong. Maybe not. Arceus Duraludon, Arceus Flying Pikachu still will not die. And now with Kyurem doing, I mean, Palkia doing so well, maybe it will not. Then we had more View Memaxes. Arceus Giratinas also making it into day 2 as well. Pretty interesting to see. Ludwig Janos was actually my round 2 opponent, who beat me because they also have Flying Pikachu, as you can see in their list. So that was really hard for Regis to overcome. They had Drapion V for Mew, Flying Pikachu for Palkia, and Regigigas. And then they had Giratina as a really powerful attacker, so, and the powerful energy as well. So very versatile list for sure. And yeah, like more of the same. Have Blissey squeaking in there. Raw Arceus deck with Bibarel and Radiant Charizard also making it in there. A single Dialga deck as well. And yeah, just more variety overall. More Arceus Duraludon and Shadow Rider as well, making it into day 2. So a little bit more variety and even more Regis. Regis might have been the one of the most represented decks on data, which is really impressive. But Kyurem VMAX ended up being the most played deck at the Peoria Regional Championship. So pretty cool to see. First Lost Origin regional out of 2 that we have, because after that we have Latin America International Championships, and we get the brand new set. So very short-lived format, which is honestly unfortunate. I feel like this format is pretty cool, but we'll have to see what happens at Salt Lake City. From me, throughout the week, you'll be seeing these top decks that plays well at Peoria being featured, so make sure you stay on top of the channel and make sure you're subscribed if you haven't yet. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.